All right, guys, what is going on? What is Gucci? Give me 1 second here. Gotta make sure I have the light on, dog. All right, we should be pretty good to go. I just moved the mic a little bit closer, and all should be well. Drop some ones if you guys can see, and if you can hear, that would be greatly appreciated. Just so I know everyone is here and good to go. Just bought a case of Mountain Valley spring water. Phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. All right, cool. Appreciate that. I wouldn't say Mountain Valley's better than Saratoga, but it is pretty solid. They have a sale at the local Sprouts, and a case of 12 is like $31 and some change. So I bought one today. I bought a case today, so I'll be good for a little while. What's good? Willow, MJ, Jim Bob, Felix, Naruto, Eminem, Mason, Shay, Cameron, Harmon, Rich off the dip, Gessner, Marshall, Sergio, Remy, Toby, Sean. Who else? Did I miss anybody? Drop a like on the stream. It would be appreciated. You know, you guys pay a lot of money to be here, right? I watched a case fall off a guy's cart and shatter in the parking lot the other week. Ooh. I would have rolled down the window and said, "Sir, you can't litter here," and then skirt off. You know how, like, when people get into accidents and then people roll by and they're like, "Can't park there." That'd have been me. That'd have been me, big time. Probably not, but that would have been funny though. Anyway, so we had like 40 something. Now we're in the 30s. Oh well. Rest in peace. So yeah, I guess we'll go over indices since we're already here. And then I'll do my best to continue on the conversation that we had yesterday, if you guys are cool with that. Damn, Mason. You're just like, yo, GG. You're like, GG, my friend. Honestly, I went into the Discord and I really didn't see anything that I liked. If I had to pick a bias, it would have been long for the indices. And when it finally came time to execute, I did not. So I don't 100% regret it. I'm kind of like 50-50. So the reason is, matter of fact, let's go to the daily time frame for a second. I was going to tweet and I didn't tweet either, but since we're here, you know, I'll go ahead and tell you. If you look at the daily time frame, look at what we did yesterday and how we closed. Do you see what we did here? You see what we did here? We took out the low of the 11th. I think that's the 11th. Yep. And then, you know, close higher. So today, you could probably see why I would favor longs, right? Kind of like a NCE, next candle entry on the daily. So I wasn't focused on shorts. I wanted longs. The only issue that I had was the smaller time frame and the way that we made certain highs. So for me, I wasn't willing to, let's say, have our opening range as a target. We didn't have any sort of equal highs or anything, so I was like, I think I'll just kind of pass on taking any trades on the indices. So I went over into currencies. That's why, and I'll obviously talk about that too. But 8:30 is here, 9 o'clock is here. So right, highest high and lowest low. So this is what I mean by equities open. Right, the first 30 minutes, the highest high, as well as the lowest low. So, yep, we traded a lot lower. We ended up taking out London's low, and then zooming out even more, we took out this low. Yeah, from yesterday. So it's like an evening session low pretty much. So we took all of that right down here. This low, London's low, I think Asia's low, something like that. So that was beautiful, nice 80 level here too. I didn't really see that until like now, but that's fine. Right, nice little 80 level there. We got a response and a very like small mitigation here, and then we reversed and got higher pricing. So this was cool, but I did not participate in that on any of the indices. So no S&P, no Dow, no Nasdaq. I kind of let that go. So, you know, probably should have stuck to what I wanted to do. Decided not to, and I went with Euro instead. And then out of Euro and British Pound, I thought I traded the right one. I traded the wrong one. So in case you ever, you know, I get that question every once in a while. Oh, John, why don't you trade currencies anymore? For the exact fucking reason today. I traded the wrong currency. That's why. I broke even on Euro and fucking Pound takes off. It's like, God, you know? So this is why indices for me is much better. Yeah, Cameron, I don't even want to talk about it. I will. I don't want to, but I will. Triple Q's 15-minute was clear. Good old shorts cover back to high of day. Lee Bright took the long. No break even today. Last time you broke even, I killed it. Today I broke even and you killed it. So we got to get back in sync, man, because this is not okay. But anyway, if we just go back to the daily for a second, you can see why I would favor longs, right? Took out that low yesterday. Today should be bullish. Let's go to ES. Same shit. The 13th, not the 11th. The 13th, we took that yesterday, closed higher. NCE, you know, seems bullish, right? What about Dow? You notice anything about Dow? There's the 13th. What's that? What is that? We don't have the same low on Dow Jones, do we? So that right there, when we closed yesterday, right, looking at it like in the evening time when I'm obviously not in a trade to kind of see, you know, what's going on here, you know, where did we close, what's the higher time frame perspective, all that shit. So it's like, okay, we have a divergence here. So ideally today should be long. In my opinion, on a higher time frame, we should be bullish from here. So that's why today specifically I was favoring longs. Now if we give this up, I'll be wrong, you know. I just don't know. So we'll have to see. One of you did mention Nasdaq, and you posted, I don't know if they're in the chat, maybe you posted this as the Judas model. Basically The only real, I guess, critique that I have is that, and maybe I didn't specify this, and that's my fault. When I talk about a 1-2-3 formation low, this technically counts, right, Lewis? A 1-2-3 formation, it technically counts because it does make a low and then two lower lows, right? So the 1-2-3. However, if we go to a British pound, okay, and I told you this morning, right, if you can allow me, you know, another I told you so, I said I'll be watching euro and GBP here, same minute, and dollar index. This is a much better representation of a 1-2-3 formation. The lows are not separated by a lot of price action. Does that make sense? Let me show you Nasdaq one more time. So these lows are relatively close together in terms of time. Now the difference between this low and this one is all of this. Does that make sense? So there's like a whole smaller time frame, I don't want to say trend because I hate saying that, but there's like a whole bunch of price action in here as like on the way to another low, versus again British pound, where there's not a lot of price action in between the lows. Okay, so hopefully that clears things up. It's not wrong, I guess. Technically it's not wrong. I just like when it's a lot closer together. Okay, now also with British pound, you got to realize, if you zoom out, which I hope you did, and that's why I told you look at it on a 5-minute time frame, you would have seen what? You would have said, oh shit, that's a market maker buy model. Let me zoom out a little bit more. And my camera's over here. But look at that. Yesterday's low, right? One low, shallow run. That's not a run or a sweep. That is. All right. So we get that 1-2-3 formation, smack yesterday's low. And then what do we have up here? Not equal highs, but the high on the right slightly lower. So I'd say low resistant highs. So do we have, I guess, low resistant signatures? We'll look at it. Easily higher. Retracement. Told you I'd be looking at it. Easily higher. We've been stagnant and we're still kind of in this price range here. So it had a relatively easy, at least the first leg, right? This run here, that was easy. It had almost no, no resistance. It just went higher. So to me, this wasn't exactly the Judas model. I guess that might depend on which time frame you're looking at, but even on like a 1 minute, we don't really have that. But what we do end up getting instead is the mitigation model, right? My mitigation model is here, right? The lows, a high, that lower low, we traded through that very easily. Imbalance as well. Boom. There's your overlap of an imbalance and a mitigation. Mitigation model, aiming for the highs up here. You would have done pretty well. And then an even smaller one right there too. Right in here. See that? It's a very small time frame, but that's okay. That's fractalization. Beautiful. You see how hard that is? So, although not quite the Judas model, we have what? Let's take some of this stuff off. I would leave it on your chart for your studies, but for presenting on YouTube, I'm taking that off. On a 5-minute time frame, what do we have though? We have 2 imbalances, right? You have the lower one. I don't even know which green I used here. We have the higher one and the lower one. So when we have 2, what do? When we have 2, we take the first one, stop at the second one. Look at that. So not the Judas model entirely. It didn't really give us an inversion on the 1 minute. 5-minute would have been here, but it doesn't trade that low. It trades into the mitigation. That's it. So that mitigation basically like stopped that inversion and definitely stopped that breakaway. Right. And so that was part of what? The first stage accumulation. Or you could have seen that as the low risk buy as well. Which is hence why on the way lower, I wasn't trying to time the low, but as we were retracing, that's when I was like, okay, let's go ahead and mention that. And there you have it. So that's why I don't mention currencies often. I don't. You can scroll through the Discord as much as you want. I rarely talk about currencies. But when I do, this is what you get. Because I'm waiting and I'm waiting and I want high probability before I say something. Now, if we go and take a look at fucking Euro, Ask McGee Euro here. I liked Euro more on this retracement because the 1, 2, 3 formation lows on British pound, we had higher lows on Euro. It's like, okay, well then if Euro is stronger, I didn't even look at the cross pair Euro GBP. That's probably where I fucked up. But I told you, you know, if you're going to trade the majors, at least British pound and Euro, you got 4 things to look at. And that's why it's a bitch to do. Dollar index, Euro, pound, and then the cross pair, you know? So it's like, it's a lot of shit versus indices by themselves. But anyway, I thought we had accumulation on Euro. So I liked the long on Euro. We do a whole lot of nothing. So I went ahead and got out and just said, all right, I'm just going to go home. And that's why I went to the store. Cause I'm like, this is bullshit to me. So it's not bullshit, but it's like, okay, I traded the wrong one. I'm not in indices. Well, shit, I might as well just go to the grocery store and do something with myself. You know what I mean? Make the day productive at least. So that's how it went. And then you can even tell like Euro is kind of sinking a little bit. It's kind of just dicking around versus pound that's really closer to its highs versus the Euro being closer to its lows. So clearly British pound was the right one. Cameron, are you talking about pound? Because I don't remember what chart I was on when you posted that. 9 a.m. 1 minute is a 9 minute. Are you talking about down here? Let me take a look. Oh, you're talking about this down here. I mean, it is. Oh shit. That's an 80 level too. Kinda. 2880. That's a bitch. I mean, Ricky, I could see that. That's also right at the open of the hour too. So if you're longing below the open of the hour, that's fine. I, again, personally, even though, let me put it, even though, Ricky, you would take a better entry and less risk, I trust the Judas model that I gave you. I mean, it's why I gave it to you. Because I would rather wait for a shift in price delivery to then play an imbalance or whatever to go, you know, long, right? That's why that model was specific. But me personally, I would not enter on something like this. But I mean, but you would have been right in your assumption in the way that you view it. Yes. It's just I probably would not do that. And yeah, stop at LOD, low of day. Yeah, it's easy. Oh, now we're up to 70, I think. Unless I'm being lied to. There's two different numbers. It says 60 on the bottom. It says 74 at the top. I don't know how many viewers we have. How many viewers does it say that you guys have on your screen? I'm in front of that 923 1 minute imbalance. 74. Oh, okay, cool. 74. It's a lot of people. It's not 100, but it's a lot of people. Welcome, everybody. How about this? I'll open the chat again. How about that? I'll open the chat to subs today. Feeling generous. Feeling generous. I was looking to sell YM, but those equal highs look suspicious. Yeah, we don't want to short suspiciousness. We don't want to do that. We don't want to do that. But anyway, I got to clean my fucking desk, bro. I got too much shit on here. I got too much stuff sitting around. I need to, like, discipline is destiny, right? Clean off your desk. I got to do that. So as where we are now, this obviously would be a really, really good area to take partials, even though we have not met the highs. We do have some lows here. That looks almost like manipulation. I guess if I was long, I might give that low a chance to get wrecked before going higher, but I would not expect a deep retracement here. Like that, I think we could take that low and then run. But if I was in an actual trade, I probably wouldn't want us to trade like back into this, if that makes sense. So we probably won't find out in the next 30 minutes, but that's like my thoughts on that. And then Euro just asked McGee. So that's always nice. But yeah, I guess we'll put this up here and I'll leave this up here for a minute. So out of the ones who were here yesterday, did any of you ask questions that I did not get to? Because I feel like I skipped some yesterday. So if you guys still have those questions, now is the time. We did talk a little bit today about you know, technical analysis, but I do, at least for quarter two, right, Q2 of 2025, I do want to shift focus over to the psychology side. And yeah, Pop, we're back to the 50s. Everybody said, yo, this guy cusses too much. What can you do? What can you do? But yeah, what were the questions that I did not get to yesterday that you guys want to know about? What were they? Had to come back because the stream was choppy. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. The OBS is telling me that the connection is great. There's no drop frames, so I don't know. Don't have like 50 tabs open. And Will said, I feel like I understand this stuff, but the execution real time is a little challenging for me. So, and I guess we're like in the 40s now too. So everyone's like just dipping out, I guess. When Manuel, when you talk about execution, are you talking about market execution or putting in like a limit order? What are we talking about here? Putting in limits or market order? What's the deal with that? The dollar has some highs here too. That would likely send euro to the lows and British pound maybe to this low here. I wouldn't short, but in the broader perspective, that could easily be a run to go higher. And now it's back at 58. I don't know what the fuck is going on today with the numbers. It's crazy. What was the last thing that you needed in order to make money with trading, like to break through? So again, that's going to be different for everybody. I guess the biggest breakthrough that I ever had was finally understanding that the markets were manipulated and that they are programmed to do certain things. Now, the first, God, this had to be like 2015, maybe 2016, where that idea was introduced to me. You know, markets are manipulated, you know, and then like a year or two later, you know, I learned that they're coded, they're designed and, you know, programmed to do certain things. So when I first heard that idea, obviously it went against everything that I ever learned. You know, it went against the indicators and all the stupid ass shit I used to watch on YouTube like a decade ago, right? Which I can't even find any of those videos anymore. And then you had the whole Sam Seiden thing where, you know, he said that he was a floor trader or whatever at the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, and he could see the orders from the banks and all this shit. So it was very confusing. Like, well, who's right? Is it manipulated, and is it designed, or do do entities really move the markets? So I kind of struggled with, well, what is the truth, you know? And that's when I had to let the market tell me. So whenever I ask you guys questions, it's because I know the answer already. Like when I ask you, oh, drop a 2 in the chat if you've ever gotten stopped out just for the market to reverse and go your anticipated direction, or, you know, drop a 7 if some other shit ever happened to you. And a lot of you drop the numbers in the chat, you know, because it happened to me too. So, for example, let's just say that this was me 10 years ago, where it's like, oh, we have a lower low, we took out whatever low that it, like previous day's low or some shit, and then it's like, oh, let me play a 618 retracement, stop at the low, and then boom, I get stopped out. And it's like, okay, well, maybe I'm wrong and it's going to trade lower. And then it sends a monster rally, right? And it's like, well, what the fuck? I lost money, but I was right. You know, I'd be up hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars, you know, but instead I lost money. Like, this is, what the fuck, bro? And that's, you know, you have that happen to you enough times, you're going to come to the realization, like, yeah, this really is designed like a casino to take your money. You know, you can be right once in a while, but a lot of the times as a retail trader, if you don't know shit, You're not going to be right as much as you are wrong. So when I understood that, when I not just knowing it, but actually internalizing it, actually believing it, I said, okay, now I need to start testing, this idea. So let me, reverse engineer how I would trade. So instead of waiting, for shit I used to wait for, I would say, okay, let me see if that idea gets wrecked, and then I'll play something after that. And so that's why a lot of the entries that I have now are just like this. They may not be close to the low or at the low of the day, which I've done time and time again, but it's just waiting for the low to be set and then playing the next retracement, which you now know as the low risk buy of a market maker buy model, or a low risk short of a market maker sell model. If we were looking for lows, that is a much better entry, and you're on side more often than trying to just simply buy below the old low. And so that breakthrough was probably the biggest one. Now, of course, there are others, like the whole risk management side, the whole thinking in terms of probabilities, instead of absolutes, the whole series of trades perspective, right? Instead of focusing on one or two trades, focus on 20 or more, you know what I mean? And so this is another idea, this is another reason why I tell you guys to read Meditations, because multiple times in Meditations, he tells himself to, take the broader perspective. Look at your body, right, in comparison to your house, in comparison to your neighborhood, in comparison to your city, in comparison to your state, in comparison to the country, in comparison to the world. You represent such a drop in the ocean, if we were to use an analogy, right? And so if you were to look at trades that way too, like, this is just one trade of many. This is just one trade of thousands. You won't put so much emphasis on taking a loss. You won't put so much emphasis on even taking 2 or 3 losses. You know what I mean? So when you are not trying to put the fucking house on a trade, when you're not, and this is what I said yesterday on my Instagram story, I'm going to get to that too. Why the last trade is the hardest. What's good, Edmundo? Because what you're trying to do is put so much emphasis on one trade. Man, John, if I could just find a high probability setup, I'll put the whole fucking bank on it. I'll take all my credit cards. I'll put all of it on there, and I'll just level up. And it's like, bro, that is the wrong way of doing it. It's the wrong way. Now, mind you, have I done it? Of course I have. Of course I have. There are certain times that you may go max risk. There are certain times. That's not all the time. It's just like if you drive a sports car, you don't go pedal to the metal on every street that you see. That's just not how it works. From 3 p.m. to 6 p.m., I'm not gunning it. I got school zones right outside. It's traffic like a bitch. There's going to be no room that I need to second stage the fucking roads. You get me? So only certain times I can book it. There are only certain times where you can put, max risk or a little bit more, on a trade. There's a reason, okay? Let's come back for a minute. There is a reason why. Let me start recording, actually, because I hate going back and screen recording. It's bullshit. The quality ends up being dookie shit. Shouldn't have recorded that, but I'll edit it later. The reason why a lot of us, when we start on demo and we take trades and, we could do well, but then when we go into a live setting, again, as a beginner, maybe intermediate trader, we go into a live setting and we get our ass kicked. Why is that? This is why I told you yesterday to do that exercise. Did you guys do it? Probably not. Some of you took some trades today, and that's okay. But the exercise was to go into the markets, right? Go into your charts and go in with the expectation that you're not going to place a trade. Because the study was to see, could you find an opportunity easier than you could if you were worried about taking a trade? Let me know if you guys did that today, okay? But the point is, when you trade demo, you don't care. You don't care about the outcome. If you win, cool. If you lose, it ain't real money, so who cares, right? And that somewhat level of carelessness is what frees you up to find opportunities. Does that make sense? When you go into a live account, now you're like, okay. Now I'm trading to not lose. Now I'm trying not to lose money. I'm trying to find a really, really good entry, but I want a super tight stop loss because all these, goobers on my Instagram ads and shit are telling me that I can take a 1 to 12 every fucking day, And that's why you're so focused on trying to put the farm on it, or you're focused on trying to take a really good trade with a small stop, and you don't want to lose. And that's what's clouding your judgment. Versus saying, hey, look, we'll take a high quality setup, but we'll manage our risk. And if we lose, it's okay because I've already ran the math. If I lose 2 or 3 times, that's all right, because 1 winner, maybe 2 winners, and I'll be in the green. Right? I'm not saying to be careless, but when you stop trying so hard, you end up performing better. If that makes sense. Oscar, what are you saying no to? Because I did kind of say a lot right there. What were you saying no to? Manuel said market execution. Oh, yeah, I didn't go over that earlier. Sorry about that. You just got to press the button, bro. If you can't press the button, then maybe try limit orders. If you see an imbalance and you're like, yeah, I'd buy that, well, then just put a limit there. Because once it gets down there and you're too scared to market order, the limit's going to get you in. Well, 99 times it'll get you in. I have more confidence going long than short. Then focus on longs. But I would find a way to overcome that, though. Start studying bearish markets. Felix says, I don't quite understand what is meant by accepting the risk. Would you be interested in your opinion? So, Felix, accepting the risk. This is my interpretation of Mark Douglas when he talks about accepting the risk. If you take a position, like let's just say right now I would long British pound. I wouldn't long this, but let's just say, for example's sake, because this is a live chart, I'm going to long British pound. Boom. But I put on so much size that I can't think straight. Oh man, what if it takes that low and I end up losing? And oh man, my girlfriend's going to think I'm stupid. And, I'm going to have to work more hours at my job to do this, to do that, and you start thinking about a whole bunch of other shit that has nothing to do with the market, nothing to do with technical analysis. You're focused on other things, right? And it takes all those distractions are taking your attention away from what you should be focusing on. Like order flow, for example. You put on so much size where the upticks, you're like, oh yeah, this is fucking awesome. And as soon as you get one down tick, you're like, oh fuck, maybe I'm wrong. Oh shit, maybe I'm wrong. It's like, bro, it's going in your favor slightly because this is a 5-minute time frame. But like one little measly tick and you're like, oh, I gotta get out. I'm wrong. You know what I mean? Drop some ones in the chat if you guys have ever done that before. You were so worried about a trade, even though it was going your direction. But as soon as you get, like, let's say a down candle or 2 down candles, you're like, oh shit, maybe it's going to come all the way back down to my entry instead of going to TP. Maybe it's going to come all the way back down here. And you got scared, you got nervous, you got anxious, your heart started to beat out of your chest. Maybe your hands started sweating on the keyboard or the mouse or some shit. Let me know if that's ever happened to you. Accepting the risk means that you're okay with taking a loss. Now that's going to be different for everybody. I'm sure everybody in this chat, everybody watching or listening right now, if I'm in your living room or something, everybody listening right now would probably be okay with putting up $5 of risk, right? $5 of risk on a trade. Nobody would probably care. It's $5. You know, Subway sandwich costs more than that. Nobody would care, right? Now, let's say we go to $50. Ooh, that's a little bit more. That's probably a little bit more than lunch, yeah. It's probably like a dinner, maybe. You know? I'd say probably most of you would be okay with $50 as a risk. You know? Some of you, a few of you might think, $50, that's a little bit too much. You know, I'd rather kind of relax a little bit. $50 is a lot. It's the first, right? Rent's due today, right? So it's like, oh, fuck. Now, what if I told you, okay, let's go to $500 of risk? Whoa, 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 whoa. Slow down, John. $500. Shit. That's a lot. I don't know if I can handle that. Right? So at a certain, I guess, monetary value, and that would also translate into like percentage wise, because if you're funded or trading a personal account or whatever, that's going to be different too. But at a certain threshold, you would not be willing to accept the risk. Okay. If you told me, hey John, let's take this trade, why don't you put $100,000 of risk on it? I'd say, you know what? I don't think I'm going to take that trade, bro. I don't think I'm comfortable with putting up 100 grand of risk on this trade. It's too much. I'm not comfortable with that. I would not be able to focus. I sure shit would not be able to sleep. That's a little bit too much risk for me, bro. I'm not doing that. Right? But to Warren Buffett, probably wouldn't even blink. You know what I mean? So again, it's all different. Accepting the risk is when you can truly take the trade, not really be all that worried about it, and focus on what you should be focusing on. And that's the hard part about being an educator, is everybody's different. We could all take the same trade, have all different outcomes, have all different levels of risk, have all different levels of trade management. You know what I mean? So on an individual basis, that's up to you. Right? And this is why I told you guys, that was one of the hardest thing, and still is the hardest thing for me sometimes, is scaling up. You know, scaling up risk. That was scary to me. Still is. But that's what I think, Felix. So you let me know if you got any value out of that. And let me just catch up on the chat real quick, because you guys kind of like blew it up for a minute. So just briefly pause for a minute while I read this. What can I do to respect my trading plan? Like not getting into my emotions and stick to the plan, basically build discipline. So discipline is a lot. There's a lot that goes into that too. I would say the biggest thing about discipline is how you do one thing is how you do everything. So if you're not disciplined, getting up on time, that's like something that I deal with. You know, I won't talk about it, but return the shopping cart, my friend. That's the biggest thing. Return the shopping cart. What the fuck does that mean? What do you think it means? It means when you go grocery shopping and you get all your shit and then you go to your car and you put all your stuff away, and then you take the shopping cart and you put it in those lanes where the carts go. How many times have you pulled up to a grocery store and you saw the shopping carts just randomly out into the parking? You probably pulled up to a space thinking, I'm about to park here, and there was a shopping cart right there, and you're like, oh fuck, who left that shit there? Has that ever happened to you? Shit, I can't find it. I wrote about this in my next book. It originally came from 4chan, I think. Okay. I'm going to be upset if I can't find this. Okay, now I found it. All right. I'm going to read this to you, okay? This is the shopping cart theory. This is not something I created, but this is something that I thought was really, really incredible. Okay, so here it goes. The shopping cart is the ultimate litmus test for whether a person is capable of self-governing. The post states, to return the shopping cart is an easy, convenient task and one which we all recognize as the correct, appropriate thing to do. To return the shopping cart is objectively right. There are no situations other than dire emergencies in which a person is not able to return their cart. Simultaneously, it is not illegal to abandon your shopping cart. Therefore, the shopping cart represents itself as the apex example of whether a person will do what is right without being forced to do it. No one will punish you for not returning the shopping cart. No one will fine you or kill you for not returning the shopping cart. You gain nothing by returning the shopping cart. You must return the shopping cart out of the goodness of your own heart. You must return the shopping cart because it is the right thing to do, because it is correct. A person who is unable to do this is no better than an animal, an absolute savage who can only be made to do what is right by threatening them with the law and the force that stands behind it. The shopping cart is what determines whether a person is a good or bad member of society. Did you catch all that? Did you catch all that shit? This is chapter 17 of my next book, by the way. Not that, but that's in it. That's part of it. Now, what does that have to do with discipline? John asked you about discipline and follow my trade plan. What the fuck are you talking about a shopping cart? Well, again, how you do one thing is how you do everything. How you do little things is basically what translates into how you do big things. So you have to work on yourself. You have to work on the little things that you tell yourself you're going to do that you don't actually do, right? I told you earlier I need to clean my desk. I got like empty cans and shit over here. I got to clean that shit up, bro. You know what I mean? And if I'm sloppy doing the small things, if I'm careless doing the small things, then there's a really good chance that that would translate over into my trading. That's what I don't want. So you know your trade plan. You have to stick to it. But if you can't stick to the small shit, you won't stick to your trade plan. So that's where I would start. Okay, I don't know if you're still here, but I know you asked that a little while ago. But that's where I would start. And I know it sounds ridiculous. It sounds absolutely, if you heard this for the first time, that probably makes no sense to you. I mean, that sounds stupid. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. Come back in like a week or two and tell me I'm wrong. Just try it. All right, moving on. Still at your playlist to start trading, but the charts already make more sense. This man explains it so well. He will put me on track to be a profitable trader. Stay blessed. Appreciate that, Jonas. I did not pay Jonas to say that. Thank you. I appreciate the comment. Jonas, you're a good one. Thank you. So I improved in the sense that I stopped blowing accounts. That's wonderful. That's very, very good. But I've noticed in my equity, I have trouble growing my account. It consolidates. My account is ranging. I make some money, but then I lose it, make more, lose it again, etc. for the last 3 to 6 months. Okay. So let me just briefly go over the indices real quick. I just want to see kind of where we're at. And we haven't done shit. We have not done a lot here. Yeah, this looks pretty bad. That's okay. I'm going to go back to British pound. Okay. So here's the thing, Pop. Your equity curve, if I may, when you're a bad trader, your equity curve is low, right? It's like the opposite of what it should be. A good trader, equity curve is, it looks like that. A break-even trader is somewhere in the middle, right? And so what you're saying is you're this middle one. That's okay. I've been there. Sometimes I'm there for a little bit too. If I take a couple break-evens in a row or some shit, it happens, right? What I would focus on, okay, at least for right now, is look where you came from. Look where you came from. You went from being a bad trader now to being a break-even trader. So you know what that means? That means you saw improvement. You improved. Now, I don't know what you trade, what time frame, what your entry model is, what your risk management. I don't know anything other than the equity curve that you told me that you have. I did have one person that was funded like a year ago, maybe roughly, because I'm never gonna say people's names, right? Because what you tell me stays between, what goes into the chat stays in the chat, okay? And this individual said they were the same way, that they were like break even. And I was like, well, look, I don't want to sound like an asshole, but you need to hold your winners. You know what I mean? And cut your losers. And we all know that. We all know that. But we don't do it. So it's not that you don't have wins. You do have wins. But your wins are not bigger than your losses. So either, learn to take partials, or you gotta let your winners run. And it's hard because if you're impatient like me, you struggle with holding trades, then you're gonna have to understand, bro, trades take time to pan out. I'm not in British pound right now. I'm not in this. I wish I was. But at the start of this stream, I told you, I think we're going to come down, probably take this low if we're going to run for these highs, right? If I'm in from down here, then I have to accept that and say, look, yeah, I want 29.40 or maybe even 29.5. But I'm going to have to sit through that before it runs up there. So by knowing, okay, these are the stages of price delivery, right? You can anticipate consolidation, you can anticipate expansions. So by having a little bit better of an understanding, you know when to hold trades. Or you might go into it knowing, okay, this might not run straight here. We might sit for a little while, but if I've already partialed, either above this high or above this one, that's exactly why I tell you guys to do that, because it scratches that itch. It grows your account. It scratches the itch of wanting to press buttons, but you're holding a little bit more for a higher objective. Those trades, the ones that you hold for final TP, that's what pushes your account past the point of break even. That's what puts you in the upper echelon by holding winners. And again, you know this already. This is not new to you. But you kind of have to figure out all right, why am I not holding winners? Am I not, let's say looking at a higher time frame? Am I not looking at the right time or the right context. Like, what is it that you're doing wrong? And then fixing that, you know, whatever it is for you. But that's, I guess, probably my best answer without knowing anything else other than your equity curve, right? You're on the right path. You went from wherever you were to now at break even. So you've seen improvement. Just continue on that improvement. If that makes sense. Probably the best answer I can come up with off the top of my head with no notes. Okay? So hopefully that helps. Mason said, well, I came into the market with the expectation that I'm not trading, and when the opportunity was clear, I took it. Point proven. Oh, Oscar didn't sit on my hands. Well, that's okay. You guys don't have to do the things I'm telling you to do. You don't have to. You don't have to backtest. You don't have to print your charts. You don't have to read or clean your desk. You don't have to do anything I ever tell you. You can just say, nah, John, I'm just here like for the knowledge and, you know, fuck everything else. I don't control you, bro. You know? But don't ever say that I didn't give you these ideas. You know what I mean? So don't ever say I didn't help you. It happened to me where I'm hunting for an entry for days, waiting for the setup, and if I was wrong, I find it hard to let it go. Yeah, that's an ego thing, bro. I've been there too. I don't like being wrong. Hell, I'm like that now, bro. You know, sometimes I don't, like, even now, I'm not in a trade. I still want to be right. I still want to say, run this low and then run above this high. I'm not even in a trade. I just want to be right. You know? So I get it, bro. But this is also a sport to me. This is my life. You know what I mean? This has taken the last 10, 11 years of my life, bro. I'm in this for life. You know what I'm saying? So I don't see what the problem is. But you just have to accept the fact that you have no control over the market. You have no control. You can't, just like I said yesterday, you cannot change the market, but you can change yourself, right? So at the end of the day, it's not about being right, it's about making money. It's just, you probably make more money by being right, though, you know? Some people still say, oh, you should react and not predict. No, that's stupid. I'm going to predict. And you can do whatever the fuck you're going to do. You know, not to sound like an asshole, but whatever. I'm going to move on. An entry that is not emotionally charged, right? Sometimes when I enter the trade earlier and I take some heat, I tend to have less mental capacity when there's a down candle developing when I go long, and I end up having more emotions, and sometimes I close early. Yeah, I told you, mental capital is a real thing. That's already been an hour. You guys let me talk way too much. I've like yapped this whole time. Mental capital is a real thing, bro. It really is. I agree, Nikki. Welcome back. It's been a minute since you've been here, at least in the chat. But yes, a person who returns their cart says a lot about their character. I always return the cart. Dude, I was a dickhead the other day, maybe like a month ago. This person got in their car and didn't return their cart, and I walked over to them, grabbed their cart, and I looked them in the eye as I was walking away, and then I threw their cart into the thing, you know, like while looking at them as they drove off. So I was just like, you must have been in a hurry, but it's all good. It's okay. It's all right. I mean, I can't say anything. I double parked the other day. So hell, I almost quadruple parked today on accident. But I was way in the back, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I was like so far in the back, you know, and I had to double park because I'm like, you bitches with these trucks like get really close to my car, and I don't like that. I will beat your fucking brains out. You're gonna hit my 6-figure car, I'll beat your fucking ass. You know what I mean? We'll play Bloody Knuckles or some shit. And I can't have that, so I'd rather just double park. But anyway, there's your low. Look at that. we haven't really taken it yet, but we're sinking there, aren't we? Where's dollar? Those highs I told you about swept a little bit ago, like 10 minutes ago, but I don't think we're done. That doesn't look done to me. You know, like when you cook steak and you look at it and you're like, that's not done. That's where we're at right now. This isn't done to me. But anyway, if I may continue. What was the analogy, Pop, that I used? What was the great analogy? I'm lagging on the chat here. I just wanted to get through a lot of these questions. Doing the right thing, whether there's a consequence or not. Well, there will be consequences. Every action has a consequence. So you might not think it does, and nobody will see it. But the shortcut that you took is building that habit of taking shortcuts. And I think it was, who was it? What's that guy's name? Alex Hormozy had said, taking shortcuts is the longest path to success. So you can take all the shortcuts you want, but you're just building that habit. You're building that bad habit, and you're wondering why it's taking you so long to succeed. You know what I mean? So stop doing that. Everything that you do. What was not Marcus Aurelius? What was in Gladiator? He said, "What we do today will echo into eternity." Come on, man. Same shit. What would you suggest for taking partials as a percentage of the lot size? Yeah. There's so many ways to take partials. I can't even explain that all in 5 minutes. You know, if you take a 0.5, then take 0.2 or 0.25, you know, half, take half off at a new high and hold the rest. You know, I hardly ever hold all of a position to the final TP. Sometimes those will really, I mean, that's one of the trades that I took to get funded. I did that. But I don't always recommend doing that. I recommend, like if I was, I told you earlier, if I was in on this, a new high here, that might be a little premature, but this high here is in a premium. That would be a good partial. And then I told you this high here would have been a good partial today too. And then holding for up here if it gets there. Because again, you're scratching the itch of pressing buttons, you're growing the account, and by going risk-free, it's a whole lot easier to hold longer because you've already paid yourself and you took risk off the table. You know? So there's a lot that goes into that, but that's the short and sweet of it. And bro, Pop, let me tell you something, bro. There was a quote from Zeno. I got to look this up. It's I think it's improvements are made in small steps, but is no small thing. Let me just double check that. I have to Google it because I absolutely need to know that. And don't have, again, I don't have notes in front of me, so. I can remember a lot, but I cannot remember everything. Yeah, okay. Well-being is realized by small steps, but is truly no small thing. Zeno. Look at that shit. What other mentor is going to be able to tell you what price does before it does it and give you some quotes off the top of their head, bro? Who's doing that? Who's doing that, baby? Besides John Phibb, who's doing that? Come on, dog. You guys got to read. Read your books. Get the quotes, fam. They help a lot. Or just keep ignoring what I'm telling you. It's your career. It's your trading. Get that Swiss franc out of here. We don't want that ass McGee over here. Power Move said, I have a bad habit of not locking in some profit when up. Sometimes I don't want to smother my trades. I mean, look, you can be all in or all out. You can do that. But what you're susceptible to is by being all in or all out is now, and I think I might have explained this yesterday. If you take a break even after a new high, you know, your equity's not going anywhere. But if you partial at a new high and then get break even, at least you grew the account. Does that make sense? So I'm not going to like argue with you. I'm not going to say that you're wrong. I wouldn't say that somebody's wrong for doing that. It's just, you got to realize, to me, it's Aristotle's golden mean. Finding the midpoint, finding the balance between extremes. And for me, instead of being all in and all out, right? Because if I'm all in on a trade and the market's going my direction, right? That's why I went over what I went over earlier, saying, oh shit, well, what if it, you know, what if it starts to down tick and I start to get scared, right? Oh, what if it comes all the way back down to my entry? You know, and then I'll be frustrated and I'll be like, you know, this is bullshit. And it's very disheartening. It's very emotionally draining to see that happen. But when you take partials and then get a break even, you still grew that account. Now, I know the math doesn't math. Okay. I get it. Well, John, if we take a 1 to 3, but we take partials along the way, we're not actually getting 3%. Right. I know that. That's not the point, though. The point, if we can come back to the drawing from earlier, right? The point being most traders start off being ass shit McGee. We hopefully eventually get to break even, which is improvement. But what we really want to be is up here, right? Let's actually change these a little bit so we can see this a little bit better. Make it red and like that, right? So by taking partials, this is what I'm looking to do. I want to grow the account versus trying to get big windfall wins. So again, that's just me. If you like holding all your trade and you don't like taking partials, don't let me influence you. But smooth equity growing, okay? I'm going to close it with this, okay? I want you to think about something. We don't ever have to bring this up again. But I do want to say this one time, okay? Because I feel like it needs to be said, and it's a really good thing to think about, okay? I want you to imagine for a second. Really do this. Just imagine. You don't have to close your eyes and all that shit, but just imagine for a second that one day in the future, years from now, okay? Let's say 3 to 5 years, long time horizon. Let's just say, for example, in 3 to 5 years from now, you want to get funded, like real funding, not a funded company, not a combine or a funded account, nothing like that. Like actually working with a real fund, a real firm. What do you think they would want to see as your track record? Do you think they want to see static, you know, big ass swings, 10% drops in like a month, or, you know, stuff like that? Or do you think they want to see slow and steady growth, even if it's like 15% in a year? What do you think they would want to see? If you're getting ready to potentially manage millions upon millions of dollars, again, this is all hypothetical, right? And you go up to them and you say, hey, look, I've been trading for a little while and, you know, here are my results, and this is my resume, basically. What do you think they would look for? They're going to look for this, bro. They're not going to want the break evens. They're definitely not going to want the, you know, the steady losers. They want somebody that knows how to grow equity, even if it's slow. They want somebody that really knows how to gain that account without big dips. Dips are okay. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows dips are okay. It's the big dips you got to worry about. So if you can have smooth, steady growth, you will have a better chance at actually getting real money behind you. Or if you ever decide one day that you want to manage money on your own. One second. This still technically is, you know, live price. So I'm just kind of wanting to see if we finally take that high or not. And British pound kind of messing with this low a little bit more. But are you, drop some twos if you guys are kind of picking up what I'm putting down here. You know, if you, or like I said, if you want to start your own hedge fund or your own, you know, money management, do you think somebody's going to give you a lot of money if your results are like either one of these two? Or would you rather have, let's say, a year or 2 years of steady growth and be like, hey, bro, you know, I want to start managing other people's money. Why don't you toss in some bread? You know, here's the last 2 years. So just think about that. We're not trying to do backflips. We're not trying to turn 100 to 1,000. Okay. If you want to go do that, be my guest. Go for it. Go do it. But if that's all you ever do, you won't get past that. Does that make sense? Like, you're not going to be able to move on beyond that. Flipping these, you know, a little bit of bread here, a little bit of bread here. That's cool. 100 to 1,000, or even 1,000 to a couple grand. Yeah, that's fine. But go look at Jade. No shit, bro. Jade Cat on Twitter. The dude's clearing 50, 60K days, 100K days. Because he only makes, like, let's say between 1 to 5 grand a day, but he's doing that shit across like 20 accounts. Right? That probably should be a much better goal than trying to make $100 turn to 1,000. You don't need that shit. Okay? You want long-term steady growth. Okay? At least that's what I think you should think about. All right? So with that being, we got another stream that's an hour and a half close to it. So I'll go ahead and cut it here. And I'm glad I didn't make any predictions, because this looks like shit. Look at that. We gave all this back. That's crazy. We gave all the gains back today. That's crazy. But it is what it is. Not a super big deal, but the only thing I'll be looking for the rest of the day is 29.40 potentially for British pound. Either we get it or we don't. But hopefully I gave you some things to think about. Hopefully you took some notes. I don't know if you did or not. If you did, I would appreciate if you posted them in the general chat, you know, so we can kind of see what you guys are writing down and potential title for the recording. Okay. So be good, be blessed. It is April 1st, right? I'll put out the market review a little bit later this evening. That is not a joke. All right. So no April Fool's tomfoolery today. We'll be here same time, same place on Wednesday tomorrow at our same time, 1 p.m. Eastern, noon Central. All right. Don't do anything stupid. And I will see you tomorrow.
Myself Say